meeting to order then and get started here. The minutes of last week's meeting, we do need to make a correction on the resolutions that were made. So we're going to change those to ordinances, and there'll be new numbers which will get done during March session. So gentlemen, with that said, we need to go ahead and make a motion and second that we will approve the minutes of last week's meeting with those corrections.
I'd make that motion.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded, and those minutes are approved, Tony.
Okay,
And so we're ready for you
give me
to.
1 second, I'm gonna do something here real quick, because I gotta correct them so you can sign them before you leave.
Good.
She just said that, I'll just tell her. We already signed all of them. Great. Can you change the minutes that I have in the commissioner's minutes from last week and up, it needs
I
to,
was just curious.
wait a minute, do I have to do that? Do I have to correct the minutes that are presented today, Carla? Needs to state that the resolutions passed, they're approving the minutes from last week, subject to changing those ordinances from resolutions. Can you go and change that and then print the minutes off for me?
So they should be resolutions.
No, they should be ordinances.
Should
The
be
first one was a resolution. The
But all
next,
your-
the next ones, all the ones for the home rules are ordinances.
Yeah.
And we didn't catch that. We just kept rolling with our numbers, and they're actually ordinances. So we just need to know the next sequential the next ordinance number.
Which
and
we
then
have.
We'll assign that, and then I'll have them approve those as ordinances today at my portion.
Okay.
But the actual minutes, you can show in today's minutes that those minutes were approved subject to those
Oh, okay.
those
So
corrections.
don't do anything to
Yeah.
the minutes from last week?
Except print them because I forgot.
Yeah.
You made me say it out loud.
Print the minutes from last week, and then.
And that's it. Period. Stop. Print them.
You have the rest.
Well,
We know what's going on other than that.
the minutes from last week are actually correct, but then we approved them.
But Mark's gonna correct that this week.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to.
So all I need is the minutes printed, which I just stated publicly like 3 times for the newspapers.
Yeah, so Mark, there was one resolution and then 8 ordinances, right? That's what it was.
8 or 9, I'll look.
We got 9 resolutions we did last week. We're going to change those to 9.
And the numbers have already been changed.
Have they? Okay.
Numbers have already been changed. 2 sides.
Okay.
So Eric,
Well, we
when we
got
go
that
over
resolved,
those,
right?
Yeah.
we'll say the correct numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, now
We
I'm
got that
ready.
resolved. Okay. We'll go forward.
Okay. First thing that I have is payroll claims for 10/15. The amount of those payroll claims is $322,152.01. 322,152.01.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, look it over, gentlemen. Any questions on that?
No, I'd make a
Good.
motion.
I need a motion. You made a motion, Stan?
Yeah.
Second?
Second.
Motion's been made and second to approve payroll claims of 322,152.01. Motion carries.
Next up, I have the Allied monthly claims. The monthly claims are in the amount of $50,347.63. I'm looking to see,
Got pharmacy and medical both.
what it looks like. It doesn't have the other page with it.
That's all medical, is that right?
We're checking that out.
I believe it's both. I know the next one is both. Here, see if you can follow on the second page. It's a different page than I'm used to. You see it?
It's all medical.
So I'm used to having this. So that one's all medical then, okay. And that was 50,000, $347.63.
All right, make a motion to approve.
Motion's been made and seconded to go ahead and approve allied claims of $50,347.63.
Okay. And now we have the Allied weekly insurance claims. And this is both medical and pharmacy. As a matter of fact, there was a credit of $1,261 that reduced the weekly amount to $66,939.43. And the bigger part of that was pharmacy expense. The pharmacy was $50,055.91, and the medical was $18,144.65.
Plus the credit.
Yeah, plus the credit added in, $66,939.43.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve the allied 66,939.43.
Okay, and the final thing that I have, well, except for the minutes that she'll bring down and have you guys sign when she prints them, is accounts payable to be paid on 10/27, and that amount is $283,564.61, $283,564.61. You all have those in front of you, right?
Right.
See. I think IT and maybe highway had some good size ones.
Yeah, we approved, I know we approved those previous
Yeah.
meetings. So we're aware of those.
I didn't see anything that reached
I
out.
didn't see anything out of order to speak of. You gentlemen have any questions on the claims?
I'll make a motion.
Yeah, I'd second that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve the claims of $283,564.61.
That
Motion carries.
is all that I have.
There he goes down. Okay. Paul, you're up. Brad's on vacation, so
Sir.
you got the floor.
All right, I passed out to everybody this morning, our monthly report for the MVH and the local roads and streets. So the MVH this month is $305,221.35. $305,221.35. Which if you look at the last couple of years here, we're doing better, so that's pleasing that we're above the last couple of years.
And we were talking about that. That is kind of affected by fuel prices and,
Get $6 fuel, that might change.
Well, yeah, you're ahead.
We're ahead right now.
Yeah, the year-to-date increase is 278,726.97 over last year, so that's a plus.
On the other side of that sheet, we got the local roads and streets. The amount for that was $48,502.78. $48,502.78. And once again, we're above the last 2 years. It's like the $37,138.61 increase from last year, so year to date. So we're doing pretty good there.
Yep.
yeah.
Good so far. Okay, gentlemen, if you don't have any other questions on that report, we need a motion to put it in the minutes.
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made second to go ahead and approve the highway report into the minutes, Tony.
Okay.
Motion carries.
Next thing on the list here is being longest and Neff, the contract for the bridge inspections has been approved by NDOT. They went ahead and emailed Brad, said that's all approved, everything looks good, so Dan will be getting with you guys to get the rest of the paperwork
Okay,
finalized so we can send it back,
okay.
all those hoops that we jumped through there. So. The 1200 South project, the piling drivers down there, they're working, it's going slow, they're having a tough time driving them in, but they're going at it, so they're making progress there. Some of you that come in 100 here through the hospital, they see that they paved that in that section of 400 West, north of 116. And hopefully, I don't know if they'll do it today with the weather that we've had or not, but they're staged to pave the rest of 750. So they should finish that this week if weather pending.
Okay.
The only other thing I have is on November 10th through the 12th, me and Brad will be going to an 811 damage prevention conference in French Lick. So we'll be gone those days down there. Just something they go to every year. So.
Okay, very good.
What was the dates?
November 10th through the 12th.
Make sure I'll give the highway department a lot of trouble this year.
Yeah, we're gonna leave Tim in charge down there, so that'll be his first round. So I was trying to get, so he'd have to come up to a meeting or something.
Okay,
That's all I have for you, gentlemen.
okay, very good. Any questions, guys?
How do you guys decide whether to pave or chip and seal? Like you paved 750 north and,
How do we decide what to pave? We try to see which roads needed the best. Like 750 north, they paved all of it up to 6 west.
okay,
So they didn't do that last mile. It only made sense to go ahead and pave that last mile. That way that road's finished from one end to the other on that stretch. 400 west from 116, that's on our list to go ahead and pave all the way to 218. And with the community crossings that we had left over from Bridge 106, we had enough to do 2.5 miles or whatever. So we said, well, let's get started on that first mile and then we'll continue from there.
but as far as deciding to pave as opposed to chip and seal,
Depends on the road conditions.
okay,
If you got a bunch of wishy-washy rough roads, we'd like to pave those over chip seal, because chip seal doesn't fill in the bumps.
sure,
It just seals the road.
gotcha,
So if we can get it paved within a reasonable amount of time, we'll try not to waste the money on chip seal if we think we can get it paved in a reasonable amount of time.
okay,
That's mainly the reason we chip seal is to seal the roads, to keep them sealed up in the wintertime, so they're not potholing and everything else. I mean, if we had an endless amount of money, we'd just pave them all, you know?
Yeah.
It'd be nice to be able to do that, but chip
Yeah.
seal makes a pretty nice road if you got a decent road to put it on.
yeah, okay, thank you.
Paul, one question. What does 811 damage mean? What's that refer to?
That's when you call in locates for the underground utilities.
Oh, that's what that is?
Yeah, and it's a damage prevention conference that they put on.
Okay, thanks a lot, Paul.
Yep,
Appreciate
have a
it.
good
You have a good day. Rick?
400 west from 116. Yep, and it's paved.
Oh, that's been done.
The only thing that I really have today, did you guys get a look over the court facilities proposal? And
Yeah.
what was your consensus on that?
Well, if I read it correctly, Mark, you'd worked with him. It's $150 an hour for anything that they do for us. And then 56 cents a mile, I think, is what they charge for the mileage
Right.
on it. I mean, I didn't see anything out of order, Mark. You're the one that, I think you looked over the contract probably, didn't you?
Yeah, I think what I need to do is sit down with Rick this week and really go over that and come back to you guys with some recommendation, because there is a fixed fee in that for taking bids and inspecting the project and, doing the walkthrough and reviewing bids and making recommendations. And I thought that fixed fee was at $22,800.
Is that what it was?
Mm-hmm. And then in addition to that, it was hourly to, it was $150 an hour to handle the building automation control part. And so, because he really doesn't have not sure on how much time he's gonna have involved in that. So, you know, you could be into, who knows, another 5,000 or more on that portion. So it's really not too far off from what we had with SCO. I think SCO was 30,000. And so this one looks like it may be less than that, but it could be real close. So that's something I think Rick and I need to look through and then have a conversation with him and get a handle on what are we doing here, so.
Under those terms and conditions, that like 75% down,
Mhm.
25%
On completion.
completion too, so. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, we'll let you guys discuss that.
So going into the heating season, are we okay with our boilers and everything in pretty good shape?
Yeah, as far as I know, I mean, they have been checked and serviced through Don Myers.
Okay, so we still having trouble regulating some of the rooms at the courthouse, or were we okay over there?
Should be okay. I mean, that's what this new system's gonna be integrated into, where I can control it better
Oh, okay,
from my office
okay,
and not have such flexibility, hopefully.
yeah. As far as fluctuating from one office to the other, yeah,
We're always gonna have some.
There are some,
things of that.
yeah.
sure, yeah,
It might be a situation where if it's possible, we could do the building automation system part separate, and do that now and see how that works, you know, over the winter. And then make the decision on the chiller replacement, you know, next spring before we hit cooling season.
They can. I mean, that was the whole logic. And then the other was the air handlers, the infrared.
Mm-hmm. But that's wrapped into the cooling project. But I think maybe we do the automation system, you know,
Yeah,
first.
that could be a thought, yeah.
And then that automation system is, it's a universal. It's gonna be,
Open source and,
yeah, where we're not hostage to really anybody in a matter of speech.
Yep.
Like we are with, hey, but what we have now.
yeah, so we might want to pursue that portion of the project and see how we get along with, you know,
See how this is,
yeah,
yeah.
see how we do with them,
Um,
with core facilities, and if we're happy with their work and everything works out good, then next spring you could go forward with the chiller replacement.
Because we don't, it's not gonna be till next year anyway.
Yeah, well, we're past the,
Yeah,
you know, critical point.
yeah, just whenever you got time.
Okay.
Rick, you think this panic button is okay now?
Yeah.
Since the sheriff came in?
Yeah.
We may have this working, I don't know, we haven't tested it yet, Dan.
We'll test that afterwards.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Yeah, is that it?
Yep.
Okay, thanks a lot, Rick, appreciate it. Dan, I think we'll have you come up before Megan gets here. She's not here yet, so we'll go ahead and cover what you have for us and questions that we may have for you.
Yeah, I think that's why I was told you guys had some questions, so I just.
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
they were, so I brought last month's report.
It was
So
good.
State and see.
Sounded like you were busy last month. You did 130, I think, or so.
136.
136. Now, the rejections, I guess the question that we talked about was, when you reject something, what's the next step?
So after I leave, for example, leave a gas station, give the business owner a report, a written report of all the pumps, how they checked out, what the errors were, what ones that were good also. So then they have 2 weeks to get the deficiency corrected, and I come back and recheck it. There's a difference, there's three things you get, either they're accurate, either they're approved, they're rejected, or they're red tagged.
Right.
So approved, obviously, that everything's fine, they're within tolerance. Rejected can be something like, for example, on here I had 2 pumps that the card readers weren't functioning, but the pumps were accurate, so they're still functional. They just can't read from the outside. They have to go inside to get their bill or whatever. So that's just a rejected pump. It's not red tagged, put out service.
Right.
So red tags basically put out service, so it can be used. There was a couple other ones that had some of the digital segmentation the little digital display, some of the little segments weren't working right, so it was hard to tell if you had 5 gallons or 5.08 gallons. So those are just rejected, they're not put out of service, they're still accurate. But then I did have a couple of them last month where one gas pump was actually leaking underneath, that's put out of service, and there was a diesel pump that, after you let off of the lever and stop your delivery, the meter kept turning slowly. Digital meters kept real, very slowly, but looked down, got their numbers off, I wrote on my report, looked back up about 30 seconds later, and it was two or three numbers off, and I thought, I must have looked at that wrong. Wrote it down again, I looked up again, and it's just barely moving real slow. So
Still charging you.
Put that one out of service.
When I'm filling up, they actually could stop if they would, I don't,
Yeah.
yeah.
And there are some that are out of tolerance, obviously, get something like that, but typically, when they're out of tolerance, they're in favor of the customer. They're just slightly out of tolerance, so we make sure to let the business owner know, hey, you're giving gas away. You need to get that adjusted.
Right.
So that's the difference between rejected and red tag. Red tag is out of service, knock it out.
Is it out of service until they
Until
get it complete?
fixed. Yeah, and whoever comes in, they've got companies come in and calibrate or repair
Okay.
what's not working. They contact me, and then I come down and verify that they're accurate.
Okay, okay, very good. Yeah, I appreciate the comments that you put down on the ones that are rejected. That's informative for us.
Okay.
Yeah, any other questions, gentlemen?
I don't think so. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for
Yeah,
Anytime.
doing a
appreciate
good
it.
job.
How's everything going overall?
Fine, yeah. No
Good.
problem.
We're glad to have you.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, well, we can go ahead and,
What time is she scheduled?
we got her down at 10:35, yeah. So we can go ahead and do Shannon if we want. Shannon, you wanna,
Sure.
so Macon didn't hear you yet, we'll go ahead and do you.
Maybe a county attorney. Possibly.
Yeah, right.
Already got the ordinance all changed and everything, so I'm good.
Okay.
I've got it this way, Mark. Each of them.
So the first thing I have is an application for group life insurance from Lincoln. We have to fill one of these out every year. We have to essentially reapply for the coverage that we have. So we have the life and AD&D, which is the group term life that the county pays for. And then we have the long-term disability, which those are two of the same. We have those right now. And then we're adding on the voluntary life and AD&D, which we approved 2 weeks ago. So I just need a signature from Rex.
So we need a motion on that for you to sign that agreement then, gentlemen.
You look over it?
And that's an option for the
Yes.
employees, yeah.
Yep,
I'd make
it's-
a motion. Because, yeah, you recommended that.
Yes, no county money involved whatsoever.
Motion made second, we'll go ahead and approve that contract for me to sign it.
And these second things are just for y'all's information. These are both the contracts for Delta Dental. One of them's the high plan and one of them's the low plan. We just got them last night at about 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. We just have to have Tony sign these and somebody witness them that we're agreeing to pay to have this in place for this year. So we don't need y'all's signatures, but I wanted to bring them and just have it done in an official capacity. So,
Just
Tony,
want to sign this one too.
yeah, just you.
Did that change to have my name on it?
No, not yet, but we're not gonna get that done before today.
So why am I signing something that doesn't have my name on it?
I have to
Has Mary's name on it?
and we have to get these back to them. I mean, the front page has her name on it, but it's addressed to her, but the actual contract
Okay,
itself
sign the other.
doesn't have her name on
No
it.
name on it.
Just scratch her name off and write yours on it.
Okay.
So this
So we don't
one,
need any action on that here.
this is the high plan. And this is the low plan.
What the heck am I signing?
See it?
That's
The
it.
contractor, yeah.
Right there.
Yep. Just make sure there's nothing else in here, so I'll just, this is a summary plan description. That's it.
Is there any place else?
I just look through it.
Here, we'll just pass her name off that Mark said that.
Okay.
That takes care of all of these, the extra benefits and, right?
Yes, and then
all
we
that.
still have to talk about medical today. That's the only one we still have to get talk about. So, Mark, I'll just have you witness these two here, if that's okay. Oh, I could have done that.
Uh-oh. What is today?
The 26th.
That only till midnight. All right. All they approved is did they approve the LTD or just the voluntary
Approve all of them.
above?
Mhm, all three. They approved term life. We have, okay. Do you want me to keep going?
Okay, no, you're fine. You got anything else?
Yes. You want me
Yeah,
to
go
keep-
right ahead.
Oh, no, you got a whole list. And
So one thing that I did miss last week was I sent you guys an updated job description for the reassessment and data entry deputy in the assessor's office. This is the final job description update. It was a couple weeks ago that I sent it. I meant to ask you last Tuesday, but forgot. Mary wants to combine, those two positions back there and essentially make them the same job that work together. And they both have the knowledge instead of having them be separate jobs. They work so heavily together already. She felt it would be better to have two employees that are cross-trained to do both things instead of one employee for each. And then if something happens, then we have a second employee in there who can do the job essentially themselves if they need to. So did you have a chance to look over that? Do you remember that?
I remember that, yeah. I did not bring it with me today.
I didn't either.
But I did read through it. I didn't have any questions on that. I thought it was well done. I don't know about you gentlemen.
And it was just, all I did was I pulled specific line items from the data entry job and added them into the reassessment. I didn't add anything extra. I didn't add anything else. I just pretty much smushed them together into one.
Yeah.
If you can find that and you wanna look at it really quick, I can keep talking.
Well, will that qualify that particular job for a wage review?
Yes, it will at least qualify the one job. So right now, they're rated differently. So the goal is to obviously get them to where they're the same position, but I'd like to reclassify the lower paid position right now because I don't think they should be different.
Because we're adding duties and responsibilities to the lower paid position.
Yes,
So that goes in front of the wage appeal. So you're, okay, you got that
yes.
taken care of then, okay.
Yes. I just wanted to wait until I had all three of them done so we could do all three at the same time instead of doing one job description for that office.
So you want us to go
at
ahead and
once.
approve this particular job description now then? Any other questions, gentlemen, on that?
Find it.
No, I'm just taking one more last look at it here.
Okay. I can keep talking in the meantime. Yesterday was a big day. I had 3 new employees start. One of them was the victim's advocate over in the prosecuting attorney's office. That was posted quite a few weeks ago, and they selected a candidate quite a few weeks ago, but she wasn't able to start until yesterday. So she started. I had a reassessment deputy start yesterday in the assessor's office. She had to give a 2-week notice at her previous employer, so she just started yesterday. And then we also had a veteran service officer start yesterday to fill that position. So we had 3 new ones. Only one of them's full-time, the other 2 are part-time.
Could I interject right here? We did hire a veteran service officer, and the gentleman's name is Trey, Trey. Last name is Likes, Likes. And he is a veteran. He served, if I get the right, July 2011 through July 2016 with the United States Marine Corps and with an honorable discharge. So we're pleased to have him added onto our staff. So, yeah, thank you.
And then the one thing that I did want to ask and get approved is that we had discussed having the county cell phone for that position, the veteran service officer position. Because unfortunately, the last employee, they used their personal cell phone quite a bit, and we're trying to keep, some of that separate if we can. So I wanted to get approval to reach out to Mike and get a county cell phone for that position, if you guys are okay with that.
I think that would be appropriate.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Steve, what do you think?
Yeah.
Let's take a
As far as our cell phones, who manages our county cell phones? So is it the IT department, or is it you, or is it the auditor's office, or how do we keep a handle on that?
What I have understood since I started, and I need to learn more about who manages it and who knows where everything is and so on and so forth. I run everything through Mike. I don't ever go to, because Eric right now, Eric Beer in the sheriff's office, for some reason, he has access to the Verizon account, I believe.
Okay.
So even before contacting Eric, I always talk to Mike. So every time that I ever need a cell phone or have a question about a cell phone, I always go through Mike first. But we definitely need to sit down and get a better understanding of what our program is and how it works and who has them and who gets them and why, and so.
So Eric doesn't just have access to the sheriff's department employees.
No, he handles all Verizon accounts,
All
so,
Verizon.
you approve somebody to get a phone, he gets notified, he does the ordering and things like that, and when it comes in, he gets it to the employee. And he has access to make changes on the account, and I think Mike or Bob does all Sprint phones. We have two different contracts, one with Sprint, one with.
So like say for the VSO, how will we decide that?
It will go to Verizon because Sprint is the first responders network, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, it has to go through Verizon because we can't put first responder.
FirstNet, she's talking about FirstNet, and
Right.
we don't even use FirstNet, because Verizon has changed things, and it's just as good, it's just not called FirstNet, but we've just kept, Verizon has treated us very well, and so we've stayed on Verizon. Some people get, depending where they live in the county, get a little bit better reception with Sprint, so they will choose a Sprint phone over a Verizon phone. But yeah, he, if you want to call him, manages the Verizon account. He has access, he has the admin rights to make changes, when people, need a new phone because they've damaged, or they can upgrade after, so I think it's every 14 months they can upgrade or something like that, then they go through him to get that, but he always gets approval from usually Sharon or you before he will order a phone.
And the billing goes through,
Oh, so what I was gonna ask, so I pull all the invoices from online. I pay all the Verizon, FirstNet, AT&T, and I just pull the invoices. So there's been a lot of times where I went through an invoice and I'll email either Mike or Eric and say, hey, this person is an employee, why are they still, but who is going to pay for the VSO, I guess? Is that gonna come from the IT's budget?
well, I think we're gonna have to do it out of the VSO budget, so we may
They
have
don't
to,
have any.
They don't
That's-
have any
that's
right
the
now.
thing.
yeah.
Probably have to
And
do it out the
honestly-
commissioner's fund, I suppose.
Honestly, they're not really split out that much, because that's then me sitting and going through an invoice, breaking it out. They're not, like, the IT pays for their invoice, their Verizon invoice, sheriff's department pays for their invoice. There's a health department Verizon, there's an LEPC Verizon. I think there's 5 of them. But they're not really broke out. The only one that is broke out right now is FirstNet. And actually it is not right now because Golden Meadows, we got Golden Meadows Health and IT. Golden Meadows is not on it right now, I believe, so it's just Health and IT. But yeah, it would be actually me going through and having to pick out which cell phones are which, and if they're all coming out of county general, you're really just robbing from Peter to pay Paul because they're coming out of the same month.
What would make it the easiest for you on this particular phone?
If they're gonna go on Verizon to pay them out of the IT. Because I'm assuming Eric will put them on the IT bill.
Does the IT department have to reconcile all those claims for all those phones, or?
I mean, they should be, I pull the invoice, I pay it online, I make the claim, pay it in Lao and scan it in to doc record. And Mike should be going in and looking at the invoices and, taking it out of his budget and stuff like that.
Well, I just don't want to throw one more thing into his budget that he's not aware of and all of a sudden, But if that's the appropriate place to put it, as long as Mike is aware of it.
I think for now, until, like Shannon said, until they can look at the cell phone policy, I know it's been a talk for a couple of years, because there's, like she said, there's some county employees that have cell phones, we don't know why, there's some that don't. And if we're completely honest about it, probably all of us use our personal cell phones for work, you know what I'm saying? So like she says, we need to come up with some kind of policy, either we say with a county plan, or I know it was talked about before of doing like a stipend for people also.
Right.
Well, that's one of the things we looked at in the technology committee was a mobile device policy. So that's one of the things that's kind of in flux right now is that particular policy. So.
I'm happy to come up and participate in that.
Stan, was that policy though, who gets a phone, or is that the policy to where if you have a county phone, you have to have this type of security on it? Wasn't that more with that
I
policy?
thought it included,
I think it was more security.
Yeah, I didn't think that policy was getting into who gets a phone and who doesn't. Right.
well, I think the department head has to make that decision who gets a phone.
But I think we were getting to the point of anybody was going and saying, hey, yeah, I think my employee should have a phone, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot more people that have county phones now than ever did before.
It becomes a problem when there's no money budgeted
Right.
in their fund for that phone, and we have to, hey, Rex, where you want us to, because it just gets confusing.
So I would say for the VSO, if you guys approve it, they put them on Verizon, I would say for the time being, IT will pay it. And then, going forward, working on a cell phone policy of who actually needs them, if we're gonna be putting them on the county's plans, or if we're gonna go to more of a stipend or something like that.
Did you already talked to Mike about the possibility of this? Good.
No, I
Okay.
got approval from you guys first, and then I'll talk to him
Well, we
about
can bring it up tomorrow. We can bring it up on Thursday morning.
Yeah, because as far as the policy, it has, do they just need it just for phone calls? Do they need it for phone calls and emails, or do they need it for phone calls, emails, and our private network?
I would say that this phone needs to be just like my phone is.
Just for phone calls?
For phone calls,
Yeah.
texting, email, internet access if you need it, MFA, it needs to be a smart
Time
phone.
clock.
Yeah. But Bree's right though,
But I
we
mean,
absolutely,
the VSO will not need to get on our private network. So, they'll
If they
still,
have MFA, they can get on the network.
But is there a reason for him to have to come into the network on his phone?
Right.
VPN.
not necessarily, no.
Yeah, that's what he's getting. On the phone, he won't
That's
need a
the difference.
VPN.
No.
that's the difference.
No.
Yeah.
But we absolutely do need to sit down and all powwow,
Yeah.
probably in the steering committee one day, and talk about cell phones.
That would be a great place to do it.
And I could always print off all the bills before and kind of go through, because I know there's been a couple in the last couple of months that I've caught that aren't any longer employees, and I've called and said, hey, why are, so we can
Well,
sit down,
Thursday
go through
morning
the
would
bill.
be the time.
kind
They
of-
put
Yeah.
the phone to
Let's
somebody
do it
else
on
for you
Thursday
In the
morning.
department,
Yeah.
or is it just a dead phone?
That's fine.
Why don't we schedule that in for a Thursday morning?
Yeah, should be.
Now that the sheriff is back from frolicking in Florida, then we can.
Let's write that down.
Yeah,
It's a magic.
not this Thursday morning.
Orlando, huh?
So
But
do
it
you want
comes-
to talk to steering committee first before we make this decision, and then decide next Tuesday, or are you guys comfortable deciding this today?
I'm comfortable making a decision today as far as that
Yeah,
goes.
yeah,
mean,
'cause
he
I
does
think
need
too,
a-
you're-
I feel he needs a phone.
Yeah.
That's my feeling. We'll talk about get together on a Thursday morning and hash this thing out.
Okay.
What do you think, Steve? You think?
Yeah, I
okay?
think he needs a phone for.
Okay, I need a motion on that.
Motion?
Okay, motion's been made, second, we go ahead and approve the purchase of a county phone for the VSO officer.
Okay, and are we ready for the job description, reassessment deputy?
You guys got any questions on that, or do
Is he
you
gonna
want?
make a pay change?
Yeah, that's one of the hopes that we have, because right now, the two positions that essentially do the same thing are classified different. So what Mary wants to do is she wants to, A, make the jobs the same, so they back each other up, and if one leaves or if one is gone, the other one can still do the job, and also make them the same pay class. Because it's, I mean, they do the same job. It's not right that they're different in the first place, so.
Yeah, I'd make a motion to approve that.
Okay,
The
motion
job
to make a
description.
second to go ahead and approve that job description.
Okay.
Shannon?
The second job description we,
Third. There's
no,
technically,
today.
oh, first.
But the
First
pay,
today.
the pay will not change until it goes before the wage
Right.
review.
And is this for, I'm sorry, is this
Good.
that, I need to know over the minutes, what description we just changed? The data entry to something else, or was it?
We did both. We did reassessment deputy and data entry deputy, and we changed the title to reassessment and data entry deputy.
For both?
Yes.
Okay.
So there, it's gonna be two people that have the same job description
Okay.
instead of 4 separate job descriptions for the office.
Okay.
So just as an update on timekeeping, Bree and I have been working with each of the departments to get them punched in and punched out. I think it's going pretty well. I haven't had a lot of employees come to me and say, you know, I can't do it, won't do it. It hasn't really been, people forget, which we knew was gonna happen, and that's okay. And then next week, when we process time cards, we're gonna run around and we're gonna sit with each of the departments for a certain amount of time and actually go through their time cards with them to review them and teach them and help them make changes and things like that. But overall, I'd say that it's going quite well, I think. I mean, it's just remembering is all. It seems to be the
If
biggest
you
issue.
have any compliance issues, let us know.
Okay, okay. We're gonna see how things go next week, and then we'll kind of touch base on if anybody is or isn't using the system like they should be at that time. But we at least want to give them a chance to make sure that they're doing it by the time payroll has to be processed. So, but overall, I think it's going well.
Good.
And then the only other thing we need to talk about is medical insurance for 2022, but I don't know if Mark's ready for that.
I don't think so.
You're not ready?
I think towards the end here we
Okay.
will.
Okay, well, that's all I have for now, and then we'll talk
Okay.
about insurance.
Thanks a
later.
lot, Shannon.
Thanks.
Megan?
Uh-oh, I better clear my desk off, huh? How much paperwork you got?
A lot.
Oh, boy. Oh, my word.
You have what, 3 of them?
5.
Oh, you got 5?
So one thing with the new subdivision ordinance is if they're in a subdivision and they're moving a property line, it's considered a replat. So we're gonna have a lot of those coming in, and that's what most of these are. Is that they're moving property lines, but it's technically a replat of a subdivision.
Okay.
So this one is replat of Light Acres, part of lot 1. And the original part of the lot, original part is right here, and they're moving that line over. So we're starting with 2 parcels, and we're ending with 2 parcels.
1A, 1B.
Where's this located on? So what county road is this on here? Rex or somebody? You know, what? 33?
Yep.
Okay, how big is it? What is the size of the parcel here? 8.5 is one?
8.5 and 14 is the other.
So it's just moving the line.
Yep,
Okay.
but it technically has to go in front of you because it's a replat of a subdivision.
You want a motion to approve?
Yes, we do need one. Motion been made and seconded to go ahead and approve the replat of part of Lot 1 of Light Acres. Motion carries.
Kind of the highway. You get a copy of it. So you can put it down. Highway state.
Okay, gentlemen.
It ain't too long, Stan. It takes too long to write.
I know.
Just scribble it.
I need a rubber stamp.
These maps are short. Rex is the. Oh, boy, you got.
You got 5 of them, Eric.
So this one, it's all in the same area. You'll see this actually twice. So there is a subdivision here and a subdivision here. This owner passed away, and to keep the land more in the family, this line is getting moved up and this line is getting moved up. So we have two subdivisions coming through that's literally just giving more land into existing subdivisions.
So if there's subdivisions and we're moving the line, will they be able to break that off?
It'll have to go through a replat process through a major subdivision.
Okay,
So it's not a no, but it's just different process.
gotcha.
You would see it in,
Yeah, I realize that. I was just wondering, you said we were seeing that again. I was just wondering if that's what we're seeing again.
no, this is just, because we're not adding the number of lots, we're just changing the size of it.
Okay.
So this will be one of them. This is,
Is that the Arnold Rutger Peterson?
yep, it's the Arnold. Steve Arnold.
11.3 is one.
Yep. So this is the woods that's down here. That son is gaining acreage coming up.
Just the one parcel, right? That's it?
Yep.
What road's that on?
Oh, this is corner of 550 north and 200 west.
Let's see, 550 north and 200 west.
Yep.
Okay, got it. Any questions? Nope. Motion.
Did you make it?
Yeah, motion to approve.
Sorry.
Okay, motion.
Sorry, I thought you made it.
Motion carries. Pretty cut and dried. Well, as long as Paul Nor's on it. That one guy's name would be L-I-K-E-S, right? So, okay. Yep.
Yeah, a lot of this was a way for them not to have to create like a 5-lot major subdivision. So this one will be this lot up here gaining acreage. So the one you just saw, I think, comes down here and up. It's the same thing.
Oh, the same.
Yep, it's the same lands.
Oh.
So the previous one,
That's Stephen.
Arnold Nick Street.
They're switching around something or what?
Yeah, they're adding land, moving the parcel line
At
up.
the same location.
Yep. The original parcel had too many sell-offs, and they created those subdivisions. But now we're just adding acreage to those subdivisions. Yeah.
Motion's been made, second to go ahead and approve this replat, Stephen Arnold, exterior subdivision, motion carries.
I said I make a motion. And then you said,
No. Well, I'll second your motion.
That's all right.
Makes it easy to copy and paste when you're doing minutes, though.
It's still, no matter if it's high tech, but it's still paper home. Nothing to give it a paper. This is the most exciting part.
Get up, move your blood, move your.
At least you can't fall asleep standing up. Standing up. Everybody just comes to our meetings, hoping there's gonna be a fist fight breakout, and it never does, yeah.
All right, this is the Meadow Schwartz subdivision. Actually, a subdivision. So they're taking this bigger parcel and making it into 3.
And what else? Is another road here?
There's 000 right
Oh,
there,
near
it's not
triple,
on
okay.
it, it's just near it.
Near triple. Well, at least the middle kept enough. So 2 acres is the minimum, right?
Correct.
Yeah. How much is are there acres amount? Yeah, there is acres.
Lot
Okay.
2.
Okay.
Lot 2 is 2.
2 is 1. Is there another one? Lot 1 is 47.7. 47, good enough, okay, right? Lot 3. 52.8. So there are 3 lots, okay. 3 lots.
Pretty good at
Is
that.
that a motion? Motion to approve. Motion made, seconded, to approve this one.
divide land to give to their kids, you know, and that's how they split it up. When you got 12, 14 kids. What do they have? I just have a question. What happens if we, okay, then where's it go?
I think it goes back to the drawing board. We would take notes as to why you are rejecting it.
It's getting broke up too many ways.
That's why we did a new subdivision ordinance and stuff.
I can't recall rejection, I don't know why you're not gonna do it. I can't recall rejection.
I can't either. I mean, usually the work has been done.
Yeah.
And you,
Yeah, usually by this time, it's just pushing paperwork.
I was just a
Yeah.
question.
yeah.
Yeah. Because you have to have a legal backing as to why you are rejecting it. This is another straight subdivision where they're taking a big chunk of land and splitting it up. We do have the appropriate easements to get to the 2 landlocked parcels.
So you got 3 lots once again.
Yeah, okay, here's 5 acres.
Where's
So
the easement at?
It is 7.5.
7.5.
Okay, gotcha.
And this is on 000. And what's this road down here? Is there a road there? Or not?
So they got
North of 300 south.
Was there a north, 300 south?
Yep.
Okay.
3 feet there, 60 feet down there. Okay.
Motion.
Second. You did it, did you?
Sure. Okay, motion's been made second.
We're getting y'all confused, aren't we? Motion did happen to carry anyway. So
And if you happen to drive out and look at these, and you're going down the road and you see a car parked along the road with his trunk open, and some crazy guy walking down through the ditch.
He's talking about me. I pick up trash on the highway all the time. Yeah. I don't get,
I think we ought to honor you, Eric.
I've gotten 2 awards over there. I've gotten the Chamber of Commerce and also an ag group give me an award. I
Yeah,
got
cool.
and a nice looking
You
plaque
deserve it.
with a nice copper top or brass.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I told the one guy it's an elegant award for a non-elegant activity. I'm just trying to put that
Good
plaque.
job, Eric.
Yep, that
Good
was
job.
cool.
So Mark was
You got all
also
those
supposed to
motions and seconded,
present,
Tony?
the building permit.
Little do you know,
report,
but I already had it
But
written
he
in.
is billed,
Okay.
so that's gonna go next week.
If I need to change the name.
You know how that was gonna go,
How's it
don't you?
looking? Permits up? or-
That's why we're pushing it, because I have no
Yeah.
clue about the building department side
Get
of
some
it.
water.
So. Okay, great, thank you guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Megan.
Morning, gentlemen.
Especially when there's not really anything else.
I don't know.
I would like to start off by thanking you for the kind words that were stated last week at the meeting as far as the state audits coming back and we're getting good marks for our audits from the State Board of Accounts. I would like to reiterate that the county is in good fiscal condition. And we just got the stamp of approval from the State Board of Accounts for that.
Good.
So
Yeah.
Tony's office, the auditors, and my treasurer's office, we work very well together. There's checks and double checks built into the system from 150, 175 years ago. So we keep an eye on each other, and that's how it's supposed to work.
I think it's,
We work well together.
we probably should also say that Tom Krukover and Mary Berry were in those positions for those years, so
Right.
we have to commend them as well and their offices, because that was their years. However, we started a whole lot of new things they wanted us to do, and I just want to throw that in there because they deserve some of that credit.
Yeah, the audits were really for their years.
Yeah,
Now,
so.
Yeah, that's true.
starting here forward, we will be audited
Well,
ourselves.
you might as well commend past council members.
Yeah,
And
there we
past
go.
council
Yeah.
members.
But you guys had to dig out all the paperwork.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
A couple of things, but thank you. It really did mean a lot to see. what
Well, we
was
appreciate all the
said
work
and
that the
what
employees
was printed
do too.
and on WZBD, and I thank everybody involved. A few things here, we're rolling right along with tax season. The fall tax collections are in full swing now. As of this morning, we have $4.5 million collected for the fall, which is 28%. Things are going real well there. I moved approximately $5.5 million around from two different banks into a third one. And it just for total interest rates, moving them from lesser accounts to more accounts. We're all still keeping money in all 5 banks because I want to keep diversified. And all 5 banks deserve to have some of that money, but it's in a good balance where I want it to be at this point. But with that, just moving that money around, we're getting an extra $225 a month. So it's amazing how that interest just compounded, even though it's a little tiny percentages. It's amazing how that money works around that way. Stimulus, it's not too early to talk about. We're going to be getting another $3.5 million approximately in May of this next year. So that's going to be here quicker than we know. And I know you've already allocated some of that, but there's more to allocate down the road. You guys are
federal
good.
money yet, that's federal?
Yes, it's the federal ARPA money. It'll be 3.474,631.50 cents. We'll be getting. The SRI tax auction for properties that haven't paid their taxes, that's this Thursday in this room at 9:30 in the morning. That's open to the public. I know you have your IT meeting there upstairs, and so I won't be able to go up there. But I would like to invite everybody that's interested. If you've not seen one, Rex, you've seen plenty of them, but Steve, if you'd like, it is kind of interesting. Last maybe an hour of talking and 20 minutes of selling, and then an hour later, it's all done, so. And for once, I'm not the one doing the talking.
How many properties is that about?
We have 19 as of this
19
point.
right now?
And we know that there's gonna be some of those that will be cleared up before Thursday.
We started with how many, 31?
Started with 41.
41.
Yes. So we're down to 19, and what's left, they're not anything that's high on the real estate market right now, but a lot of leftover stuff and bare patches here and there. But nonetheless, they'll all go up for auction. That's this Thursday, 9:30. And then I'm also working with the IT committee on website development and payment providers. I've gotten real close on narrowing down to my suggestions. And I'll have some stuff, not this Thursday, but next Thursday.
Okay.
With some samples and
Good.
such.
Good, that'd be great.
Anyway, things going, it's getting busy again in the treasurer's office, and it's good.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Well, that website is becoming more and more important all the time, and
Yes.
especially as more departments start to take payment that way. So, you know, the accessibility and the security and everything about it is gonna become more and more important. So,
And you had asked me last week about the clerk's office and what they do, and I've investigated all that. They have a system, there's reason that we do not want to have the same system. And I'll tell you about it.
Okay,
You said 9 or 9:30?
9:30. So that's when it actually starts. So a lot of rules and regulations. We have a vendor called SRI that does these tax auctions everywhere. I am a licensed auctioneer and technically could do this auction, but there are so many rules and regulations and liabilities that this vendor takes on that we don't have to worry about, that it's well worth using this. Everybody around the whole state uses it, so it's a good thing. Okay,
good.
thank you.
Very good, thanks, Ed. Ian, did you have anything you wanted to bring up? Okay, Dan?
The only question I have is there a form yet that we can come to reference ARPA requests?
There's no form yet, no.
Is that being worked on, or do we just submit something on a Word document?
No, I think Julie Marie is working on that form.
Okay.
So I'll email her and tell her that you definitely want to file something, so.
And then any update on the dog catcher?
Yes.
Give it now?
And then if you want me to,
All right, might as well.
or do you want to do it, or you want me?
No, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, we've been working with Mike and Cindy Heiser. They did have their septic permits, their building permits, and Mark and I met with them last Thursday to make preparations for a final contract that will be presented to us. I assume us first, or maybe simultaneously to us and them. for a final signing and agreement. But his hope is still to have the new facility operational by the end of the year, so.
Really?
But there has been, some holdup with the septic permits. There was some unexpected things on their part, that they were using a different floodplain map than what they had used in the past, and so that kind of forced them to change the location. And but we worked with the state to on what we had to do for septic permits, and so anyway, that's kind of a long answer to a short question.
Are they, the current people who are picking up animals, is that staying the same, or are they also?
That will stay the same even with the new facility.
Okay, so we still will not have pickup until evening hours?
That's correct.
Okay.
So, that's correct. But, I felt like we made real good progress, when Mark and I talked with them last week. So, I was real happy with that discussion, and I'd anticipate getting that contract signed.
Unless we want to go back to having a jail officer handle dog catching.
Not our bailiwick.
Hey Stan, where is this place? What road? Where's it located?
It's on Highway 27 and 100 North. It's Mike and Cindy Heiser.
It's just north of the truck place. The box trucks, who sells box trucks, right there. It's the second place north of 100 North on the west side of the road.
It's on 27.
On 27. Yeah.
Okay, you're right.
He also runs a current business there, Heiser Automotive. So, the advantage is it'll be very centrally located for the whole county. And we have been working together with Decatur, Monroe, Bern, and Geneva to work together on getting this accomplished. So, we've had real good participation and cooperation from them too. So we really look forward
How
to
many cells is it gonna have? Depends, is it gonna, how many places how many animals can he hold? 25 pens or 30 pens?
20, it has to be 20, capacity for 20 dogs and 20 cats at any given time. The address is 1250 North US Highway 27.
Okay, Deb?
unless there's any other questions.
Okay, Mark, I guess we're down to you then.
If you recall, Adams County was approached by AEP earlier this year. We received payment for some additional right-of-way along the electric transmission lines that are located just west of the jail. And one of the areas for the additional easement was with the Jail Building Corporation. It's Adams County, Indiana Building Corporation. That's the holding company that built the jail. They actually hold title to the property. So AEP issued a check to the Adams County Building Corporation. The problem is getting that money to the trustee for the corporation to pay on the bonds. If we send this to them, it's just going to sit there for years. I talked to State Board of Accounts. I talked to our financial advisor from when we did the bond issue. And since the county is making the payments on its budgets and makes those payments on those bonds, it makes the most sense to just have that money paid back to the county, because the county's going to turn around and makes the payments anyway. So we had another check reissued to Adams County, Indiana Building Corporation in the amount of $4,336. And we've had that endorsed back over to Adams County for deposit only. So I have that check, and I'll give that to Tony and Bree so that can be deposited into county general. So any questions on that? Otherwise, it would just sit in the account and the county wouldn't really get any benefit from it. So we finally got that reissued. Next thing then is the ordinances that we had last week got mislabeled as resolutions, and they were given resolution numbers. And so now we have those ordinance numbers identified. And so we just need to adopt those as ordinances. The first one was, is ordinance 2021-6. That was labeled as resolution 2021-26, I believe. Is that right, Tony?
Yep. It went from 26
To 6.
to ordinance 6.
Okay, so
Do we need to do these individually?
I'll just let you know what they are so Tony can have them straight here and we can make sure we give them to the press so that it's correct. So, resolution 2021-26 adopted last week and approved is actually ordinance 2021-6. And that has to do with special donations for employment and career training. 2021-27 is actually ordinance 2021-7. And that's to establish funds for restoration and maintenance of the Peace Monument. Resolution 2021-28 is actually ordinance 2021-8 for use of continuation programs for law enforcement. 2021-29, that resolution is actually ordinance 2021-9, provide for the care and training of police dogs. And then resolution 2021-30 is actually ordinance 2021-10, is for the use of donated funds for the highway department. Resolution 2021-31 is actually ordinance 2021-11, which is to establish a fund for donated funds for the health department. Resolution 2021-32 is ordinance 2021-12, which is for donated funds for the special needs of residents of Golden Meadows Home. Resolution 2021-33 is ordinance 2021-13, which establishes a fund for alcohol and awareness prevention programs. And then resolution 2021-34 is actually ordinance 2021-14, which establishes a fund for payment of medical expenses, donated funds for medical expenses of residents of Golden Meadows Home. I just need a motion then to adopt these as ordinances with the appropriate ordinance numbers that I've just read to establish those home ruled funds, and then we can show those as adopted.
So moved.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to go ahead and approve the 2021-6 through 2021-14 ordinances. Motion carries.
Then I'll make copies here and I can hand that out to the press. Other than that, that's all I have, and then I just have notes and for regarding our meeting on the animal shelter services contract, and we can review that here after the meeting. And I'm trying to wrap that up. I know, Stan, you had some questions here maybe on transportation.
Yeah, you want me to go ahead with, we've been approached by Tim Ramsey and with Bi-County Services and also with Wells County Council on Aging. And they have an opportunity to expand their public transit service. And so I met with Tim and Mick Cup the other day to discuss this. And so they have also offered a potential agreement if we would like to participate in that public transit service. So it would be a joint, it would be a pass-through agreement with Wells County being the originator, and we would be participating in that service and any grants that would be offered for that service. So I guess at this time, I don't know if you've had a look at it. I don't know if you've had a look at it really too much. But I guess I'd like, any discussion as far as thoughts on that, or
I'd like
because if we do not participate, then they will not be able to.
Well, it's definitely something we need to look into, but there's a lot more details that we need to find out about. situation, you know.
He did give me a copy of a potential agreement, and I gave that to Mark. So Mark, if you wanna look at that, kinda,
Yeah, I've looked at it here preliminarily. I need some more, I need to see the entire agreement. This is just part of it. It starts off here kind of in the middle of the agreement. And it looks like it's been signed by Wells County Council on Aging and Adams County Council on Aging.
but it'd kind of be a joint venture because Todd Jennings from NDOT is the one that's, our point of contact, because the grant would be coming from NDOT, whereas it would be submitted by March of '22, and, if it was approved, would be,
Dispersed in January. of
dispersed
23.
of January of '23.
Does this replace services that are already being provided by Council on Aging? Are they services in addition to?
I think it would be expanded services.
And then the question is, this, from what I've got here, calls for a 50% local match. So then the question is, where are those funds coming from? You know, so I guess I've got a lot of questions. I need to see the full grant agreement. This is just part of it, but it says, 50% match. You're already providing funding to Council on Aging, and I guess the question would be, okay, is that expected to go up? You don't have that in your budget.
Right.
We need to ask some questions on money, costs, what all's involved. I know, this particular excerpt from, it looks like it's probably a template agreement, references Johnson County numerous times. I don't know what Johnson County has to do
Well,
with
I
it.
think
but
Tim probably pulled it off. as
that
an
must
example.
be, then they've got Wells County in here and Adams County, and then there's Johnson County.
His
So
question, as per our meeting Friday, was, do we want to move ahead with discussions?
I think you can do that. But yeah, I think we've obviously got questions, and then funding would be the issue, and then that would be a council decision. If you're going to be providing, additional funds, even if there is a grant involved, when it says 50% match, that's gotta come from somewhere.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, well, the discussion would be continued, I think, together with Todd Jennings and, Wells County Council on Aging and us, and we'd have to see how it goes from there to find out more details.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
think it's an opportunity to have a better public transportation service in Adams County. So,
I would say if you want to go ahead and have them, provide us with all the documentation that would be necessary for Adams County to sign, and we would need to know what level of funding is expected from Adams County, either in the way of additional funding to Council on Aging or in the form of local match. We need to know what those dollars are, what the duration of that grant is. Does that a grant that's going to run out and then the county is expected to pick up the difference? All those sorts of questions.
okay.
Well, it's something it's premature right now.
Right.
Cover everything,
Yeah, I
so-
don't have enough information to make.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no,
to tell you
I'm
one
not,
way or another, but-
the only decision I was asking if we're interested in.
I think we need to talk about it.
Continue talking to them about it.
Okay.
Continue our
Yeah.
discussions,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you want to talk to him, or do you want me to talk to him, Rex? What are you,
I can give Tim a call.
okay,
I can give him a call and set up maybe we need to set up some meetings and maybe all three of us can be.
because I know he wanted to have NDOT in on that
Oh,
time.
absolutely.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely. We just need to find yeah.
And maybe
specifics
Michelle
for Mark.
too, so.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you,
we
Mark.
can do that. Anything else, guys?
I think Shannon had wanted to talk about the health plan. Shannon?
Sure. We just need to approve keeping the medical insurance the same for next year, and holding the rate at which we can contribute to our reserves.
It'd be we had a conference call with Allied and with Elaine, and reviewed the report and recommendation from the actuary. Claims for 2021 were really pretty good up until third quarter. We've seen an increase in claims here in the fourth quarter, which we expected. I don't know if you recall, claims for 2020 were quite a bit lower than expected, so that helped to add to your reserves. I think that's kind of been a trend that we've seen elsewhere. I know School Employees Benefit Trust, which is 11, right? I guess, 11 school corporations, including the 3 school corporations in Adams County. I think we're able to hold their rates as well because they had claims in 2020 that were less than what they had expected. Really had to do with the whole year of COVID, and utilization was somewhat down. Of course, the caution has always been we expect that to go back up, and it could boomerang some. And so I think we've seen in the fourth quarter, claim cost for the county has gone up. And so we think we're still going to finish out the year very well. Because you have substantial reserves, then they're recommending that you hold your contribution rate for 2021 the same as what you did for last year, and that's extraordinary. That's good. So the recommendation is to renew with the same contribution rate. The contribution rate is the amount of money that the county puts into that self-funded account every month, and to pay for your claims and then pay for your reinsurance and overhead. And so we've kind of gone through this quite a few times, and it's always good to kind of have a refresher. We've discussed this with the county council before. The Adams County Health Plan is a self-funded plan. So that means it's, you're not working with dealing with an insurance company. You're not paying premiums to an insurance company, and then the insurance company looks at your experience, and if you had claims that were higher than expected, you can expect the following year they're going to raise rates. If it's a fully insured plan, you pay the premiums, whatever they are, no matter what. If your claims experience turns out better during the year, the insurance company does not give you a refund. In the self-funded plan, when you have good years, then you benefit because what you expected and what you put into the plan, if your claims are actually less, then the difference stays in your account in the form of reserves, which is what you have. And so every year you have an actuary that plan management works with and hires for the county. And so they look at your claims experience, they look at large claims, they try to project what they think your expected claims will be for the next year. And then they make a recommendation on what do you need to put into your account each year or monthly so that you don't go negative, or if you do go negative, you can use up some of your reserves, but they want to make sure at the end of the year, the health plan is still in good shape. So what they're recommending this year is that you hold your contribution rate for 2022, the same as what you did in 2021. You may get into your reserves in 2022. How much, we don't know. A lot of it has to do with large claims. The county has had quite a few pretty good years where your large claims have been pretty minimal. As part of your self-funded plan, there is an insurance component to it, and that is you purchase stop-loss coverage. And so stop-loss coverage is insurance, and that kicks in once any individual has claims in excess of $55,000. So in the county health plan, your specific stop-loss threshold is $55,000. What that means is Adams County pays the first $55,000 of all claims for any individual on the plan. That comes right out of your account. Comes right out of your claim account that you have set aside to pay claims. You also pay any administrative costs, and you pay for the reinsurance premium for that deductible. There's also an aggregate stop loss, and that aggregate stop loss is in place in case you have a extraordinarily bad year and all of the claims go over a aggregate amount, and then the aggregate kicks in. We have never had our aggregate stop loss kick in, not yet, so knock on wood. But that specific stop loss, you do exceed that on a number of individuals each year. When you exceed that, then the TPA, which is Allied, monitors that, and then they start submitting claims for reimbursement from the stop loss carrier. And so that is your stop loss, then that reimburses the county for any claims over the 55,000. So this year, we did see an uptick, an increase in large claims. So that's claims over $55,000. So which you expect to see from time to time. But they're still, because of the reserves that you have, they're recommending that you can go another year and keep your contribution rate stable. And so I think, Shannon, I know our deductible, our copay for individual copay is, you've got two separate networks, three. You've got, Lutheran Preferred, Three Rivers, and Parkview. You added Parkview to the network this year. So far, we were fortunate that we were a little concerned that the discounts that we would get with the Parkview network may not be as good as some of the discounts we have in the other two networks, but so far it seems as, from what we've seen in the data, is that they're tracking pretty much, tracking very similar in terms of discounts, so that's good.
Really? Because I always figured Parkview is a lot more expensive.
From the report that we had, it's tracking pretty good.
Yeah, Lutheran and Parkview seem to offer about the same discounts as what they told us, and Three Rivers still offers the greatest discounts, which is why the employee premium for Three Rivers is lower than the Parkview and the Lutheran employee premium. So it's because they offer better discounts, but Parkview is still in line with Lutheran. We also found out that the usage is not as high as what you guys were expecting. I obviously wasn't here at that time, but we only have 19 employees in each Lutheran and Parkview and 128 in Three Rivers. So the usage isn't nearly as high as what we thought it would be.
What all does Three Rivers cover?
It's mostly this area, but from personal experience, I have a doctor in Bluffton who technically works at a Lutheran hospital, but he's in all three networks. So it really just depends on the physician and the office and what they decide and what they can work out with the different networks.
And that's why your employee contributions are different based upon the network. So the Three Rivers, the employee contribution for the Three Rivers is $12 per pay period.
Yeah, for employee only.
For employee only, per pay period.
Per pay period.
And for Parkview and Lutheran,
It's 23.
it's 23.
Employee only per pay period.
Because you're able to hold your rates this year, your contribution rate, the recommendation is that you keep those even as well. So you're passing on, I guess, that good claim experience to the employees. And the county contribution rate stays the same, and it's recommended that you keep the employee contribution the same. Next year, you're going to be looking at the possibility of adding a high deductible health plan. You would probably eliminate one of your networks, maybe not. It gets to be pretty cumbersome when you have too many networks, too many plans. But we're going to look at a high deductible health plan as an option for next year. But we'll have to discuss it and see kind of if we expect that that'll generate savings, how much, what sort of administrative cost is it going to involve. But we'll hopefully have that information ready before you start budget next year. So then you can look at that. So I think,
Bree, what is what was approved in our budget for 2022? Our contribution, was it $1.5 million?
I think it was 1.8.
Cause this year it's 2 million.
I think we may cut it back a little bit. Council cut it back. What she's looking that up right now, Mark had mentioned the two accounts that we have, the health insurance account and the reserve savings. Our balance in those accounts as of October the 22nd, the health insurance account had $273,285.39. The reserve account had $2,558,103.89.
For 2022, 1,850,000.
Okay,
So we took it down a
1,050,000.
little bit from,
Yeah, okay, so they took it from 2 million down to 1,850,000.
Yep.
Okay. All right, we're still holding our own as far as our balances in our accounts right now.
yeah, so the health fund account, the account that's not the reserve account, you look at that as basically your checking account to pay monthly claims.
Right.
Well,
So,
I'm showing that out of our health account, 12,601, we've spent $1,166,666. Is that? We've spent 1,166,000.
probably, I just made myself a note, we need to move some over. I think me and Tony decided to do it kind of quarterly, so.
But it still shows a balance, and this is the checking account part, I think, it shows.
No.
this-
12601 is the commissioner's line item where 2 million was budgeted.
Yeah,
So
'cause
that
we,
will, all 2 million will get moved over to the health insurance fund 4,700 by the end of the year.
okay,
We need to move some over.
because it still shows a balance of 833,000.
Yeah. So we just need to finish moving it over.
Okay. So if we go
Okay.
to a high deductible plan, will that benefit the county or the employee or both?
well, ideally, that you do it to benefit both. It's a plan that can help save, some, that's where you have to, I think, look at your employee, contributions, and then you have to decide, is there enough savings to the county to, on the claim side of things to justify offering that plan, but to get individuals to take that plan, there has to be some economic reason why they would take that plan.
Well, probably because they're young and healthy.
But that's where it gets real tricky, because if your employee contributions are very low and they would rather not have the
So why would you?
why would they,
Yeah,
want to pay, $5,000 out of pocket if they get sick,
right.
whereas they may only have to pay, $2,500 out of pocket? Are they going to take that risk? And so that's what you have to analyze when you look at offering a high deductible plan. It has to be designed in a manner that individuals want to select it, and they always make those decisions based upon economics.
And the plans that we discussed when we talked, the high deductible plan that we talked about was not a very, very high deductible plan. It was what I would consider to be a traditional plan everywhere else. The deductible was only $1,500. So we have, like Mark talked about, we would have to look at the numbers and decide what deductible would be best, what premium would be best, what kind of co-insurance we'd pay on it, all of that stuff. So we're gonna start earlier this year or next year to talk about that and kind of come to you guys with a proposal essentially, if we do or do not recommend adding that. So we have some work to do.
And kind of backing up to what Mark said, if we anticipate that really nobody's gonna wanna do it, I don't know if it's worth the trouble.
Yeah, but it honestly, in my experience, it comes down to the education aspect. the more that we are able to teach employees what it is, why it's good, what you can use it for, the more likely they are to participate in it. But if we throw it out there and we say, hey, we're offering this new plan next year, the first time they ever hear about it is on the day of open enrollment, you're gonna have 0 people sign up, I promise. But if we start, like a campaign essentially, to teach them what it is, I think you'll have more interest.
Well, and if it truly is an additional benefit to them, I guess that's what I'm saying, then that would make it all worthwhile to do that education campaign.
Right.
But if their employee contributions are already low and they're not interested in high deductible
You
or
need
we
to have
have
a
very
motion
low
to
involvement,
approve holding the
then
rates.
it's not.
Holding the rates as they were.
And doing the education and stuff. But if it's a good plan and it's a good benefit for the employee, then it's certainly worth looking
But we'll
into.
do all that work before we start introducing that to employees. We would never start that campaign before we actually decided to move to that. I don't have that much time to spare, unfortunately.
Okay, well, basically, Shannon, going back to your original statement, is you want us to have a motion to keep the rates the same.
Yes,
We kind of got off track a little bit.
yes, we did.
Okay, so you understand what she's asking for? Any other questions?
I'd make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded that we continue the same cost to the employees. Motion carries.
All right,
Anything else on that?
I think that's it.
Okay, anything from the public? Are we done? Auctioneer say sold, right? Okay, take a motion. Need a motion to adjourn, guys.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion's been made, seconded, we are adjourned.